9 o'clock here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Jane Monreal. We are celebrating the storm is over. Yes, let's give it up. And it's St. Patrick's Day. Green. So everyone has their shade of green.
Yep.
I already warned the girls that I'm going to be talking in my Gaelic accent, but then
I'm impressed.
But Majestic said Chris has been talking like this all day anyway. So
yeah, doing his little jumps and hops,
his
river dancing.
and then Leapin' Larry came around.
Oh!
I've never met him. I mean,
you
my
haven't had the
morning has
pleasure.
been full of lots of things.
Lots of
He's a
Irish.
delight.
Luck
Yeah.
of the Irish today. Then you're starting off.
Yes, and apparently Leapin' Larry has been around for 27 years.
Oh,
This
yes.
This
Yep.
is 27th year of doing it.
I forgot about Leapin' Larry.
Oh,
Hopefully,
I knew this morning. I was like,
You
it's
think-
only a matter of time.
a matter of time. Then when he comes here in
Yeah.
the Live
Oh,
Impact
yeah.
studio, I think I've got a combo of Scottish, Irish, English.
Maybe a little Australian.
A little
too.
Australian too,
little-
because I'm
just a
watching
little
all those
bit.
Australian actors.
Yeah.
I'm impressed, and I like the little merge. It makes it unique.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's all
Very
the
unique.
It's a melting pot.
it's all the UK
Yeah.
and their gel.
I like your earrings.
This is the only thing you can
They're pretty.
see right now. Yeah.
I like them.
And then
Good idea.
I've got the wrong shade of green. I've got the olive green.
Hey,
That's okay.
Green.
But that's all right.
babe.
Green is green.
A lot of people, meteorologists can't wear green on
Right.
the green
Right.
screen. So
No,
I
that is
learned, like,
good.
early in my career, if it's a darker green, it works.
works.
It can't
Yep.
be your green. 'cause
Right.
No, I
then
have-
You
I
are.
have
You would
green
be
screen
off.
You
green.
are green screen.
Yeah.
I have
yeah.
green screen green on.
Yeah.
But I like green screen green.
That's going to be a new crayon color.
Green
I like
screen
that too.
green.
I don't think I
Green
have
screen
any of
Well,
that.
I
I
mean, it doesn't
like
make any
it,
sense, yeah.
but
Right.
I would never really wear
Never
it.
get
Right.
a chance to wear it. Yeah.
Well, thank goodness today's St. Patrick's Day, not yesterday. So yesterday was kind of nuts with all the weather.
Yeah.
We would have to be
Yes.
all serious all the time.
right.
True.
That's
Thank
not gonna
goodness
fly.
that's behind us.
Yes.
That is behind us.
Although, yesterday we had a lot of storm damage, a lot of tree
Yes,
damage, a lot of
yep.
wind damage. One reported tornado, officially an EF0 tornado, still strong though. So I know there will be some people outside cleaning up, getting the limbs out of their yard, maybe still trying to get some trees that have fallen down out of the way. So thankfully, it is going to be a pretty day, a nice day to get outside and do what you need to do. But this morning, it's really cold out there. We told you it was going to be cold, and that's the deal. The next 2 days, get ready for cold conditions, but we do have really nice weather on the way again. This is what I'm quickly learning about the Carolinas is in March. If you don't like the weather for that long, it's okay, because the next couple of days, likely something else is coming our way. It's beautiful out there in Monroe, not even a single cloud in the sky. This morning we're waking up to Clear skies, cold temperatures, and if you think it's cold here in Charlotte, look at the mountains, 17 degrees right now. We had snow this morning in Boone, very light snow flurries. We had it start up yesterday and still some lingering impacts. 15-mile-per-hour winds for that area, feeling like it's 2 degrees outside. So Burr, here in Charlotte, 33 is where we currently are. It's 9:04 right now, and it's feeling like it's 25 degrees. So on this St. Patrick's Day, make sure you're all bundled up. It is going to be cold really through most of the day. Feeling like we're in the 20s this morning. By the afternoon, still lots of sunshine, and temperatures, they'll rise back into the upper 40s. We should be around 64 degrees this time of the year, so we're well below that. Tomorrow, we're watching a hard freeze, so temperatures drop even colder than where we were this morning. We saw a lot of upper 20s, low 30s today. By tomorrow, I suspect we'll see widespread 20s heading out the door tomorrow. So even chillier conditions, still a pretty beautiful day. But then looking ahead, 80-degree temperatures are ahead. Gotta wait for my 7-day forecast. I'll show you that coming up. So 17 degrees right now in Jefferson, 18 degrees there in Boone. It is feeling like winter up there. Right here in the Queen City, hovering right around freezing. So grab the layer for a St. Patrick's Day forecast. I like to see the sunshine, so if you're doing anything fun outside today, beautiful and cold, but we are dry. High temperatures mainly into the mid to upper 40s, but with a little bit of a wind, it's going to make it feel just a little cooler than that. So here's the satellite and radar. We have had that strong cold front that passed through yesterday that brought with it heavy downpour rain, strong gusty winds, severe thunderstorms. It was a crazy day. And then meanwhile, you look in the mountains and it's almost a blizzard because you have snow falling and winds blowing. Thankfully, today is much quieter, but back behind that front, we really started to feel that cold air push through. It was one of those days where there wasn't really a question as to whether or not the cold front pushed through because you noticed that difference. In the morning time, it was just stormy and gross outside, but it wasn't freezing cold. And now as you step outside, you're like, whoa, you feel that cold air, and that's because the cold front kind of opened up the door for that northerly air to spill through. You can see the white still lingering up there in the mountains. That's just indicating some really light snow flurries. No impacts there. But of course, I've been doing traffic over on WCNC this morning, covering all the roads across our viewing area. And in the mountains, some of those roads are actually pretty slick and icy. So be careful there. And there was a little bit of accumulation on cars and roofs and stuff like that. So people are just preparing for that. National Weather Service did have Ashwaubenon and Avery counties all under winter weather advisories. Now just Avery County, you'll be under that until 3 o'clock this afternoon, mainly because of the lingering conditions. Over the next couple of days, it's going to dry out really nicely. I'm not seeing any big concerns in the coming days other than just the cold air. And I know it's been so tempting with these warm temperatures that we've had over the last week to 2 weeks. I mean, overall, March has been pretty warm. Some of you have wanted to plant and maybe have flowers and you want to just jumpstart spring, which spring officially starts in 4 days, which is exciting, something to look forward to. For meteorologists, it starts on March 1st, so we're already ahead of the game. But I've been noticing I'll be walking around my neighborhood, walking my dogs, and some of you have already planted flowers, and we have a hard freeze tonight. So if you want to save your flowers, make sure you cover it, you protect it. If it's just in a pot, make sure you bring it inside because temperatures tonight dropping down into the mid to upper 20s. Teens up in the mountains, so it's going to be a chilly night tonight. If you have any outdoor pets, make sure they're also ready for the cold air. Heading into tomorrow morning, we're looking at upper 40s, low 50s for our daytime highs tomorrow. So kind of a rinse and repeat forecast, just getting a little colder early in the day. But notice the next couple of mornings, yes, it's cold. I think we'll have lasting impacts through Thursday morning, and then our daytime highs eventually start to rise, and so will those overnight lows. Now, over the next 3 days, 49 degrees tomorrow, 63 though by Thursday. So Thursday's a very seasonal day, kind of a normal Charlotte type of day in March. And then as we head towards Friday, just in time for the weekend, 70s are returning. 72 degrees on Friday, sunny skies, and it gets even warmer from there. As far as rain chances go, I'm not seeing much activity whatsoever for the rest of our work week, so we're going to start to kind of dry things out again. And as far as our drought monitor, remember that gets updated and released every Thursday. So we'll have an update for you on Thursday. That rain that we had yesterday really was helpful. I know that some areas saw some minor flooding, which of course is not great, but with how dry everything is, we needed yesterday, even though it was just a bleh type of day. Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast looks like this. Sunny skies, 48 degrees for our highs. Chilly all throughout the day, especially with that north wind. It'll be breezy at times, gust up to around 25 miles an hour. So a lot of the day, we're going to feel like we're in the upper 30s and low 40s. And then tonight, another night where we're dropping down into the 20s. And as far as our daytime highs go tomorrow, very similar, close to 50 degrees. I think we'll have a little bit more cloud coverage tomorrow compared to today, but generally still a lot of sunshine this week. Thursday, finally back on track, feeling a little bit more like spring, and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. This is nice. Charlotte FC game, Saturday, 80 degrees, sunshine. Sunday, 84, hardly any cloud coverage. And then on Monday, temperatures drop just a bit, but upper 60s is what you should plan for. So overall, girls, we got through the storms. And now today we just got to get ready for the cold for the next couple days, and then it'll be fine.
But at least sunny.
Yes.
And what?
Stay green.
And stay green.
Green.
I'm loving all the trees.
green,
The trees are like so pretty. I know the allergies and all the pollen is not great, but everything is just slowly starting to come to life again.
Yeah,
It's
that's
nice.
true.
It's pretty to just watch it over time. Even just like a week's difference, you can see changes.
All right.
It's nice.
Spring.
We like 80s.
Back this weekend.
love it.
Yes.
All right.
We love it.
All right. Thank you, Majestic.
Of course.
And we'll be right back on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Time right now is 9:12 on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Alice Barr from Washington covering the latest now out from the Iran war. We're learning this morning that 2 Iranian leaders killed in overnight attacks. For the latest now, again, Alice Barr for NBC News on WCNC Plus and Live Impact News.
Israel today claiming to have killed Iran's top security official, Ali Larijani, among the most powerful regime leaders to have survived earlier strikes. Israel also claiming it killed the head of a key militia used to suppress protests. It's unclear what those assessments are based off of, and Iran did not immediately confirm the claims. That as Iran lashes out at American targets across the region, including a strike near the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad, while still attacking tankers in the Strait of Hormuz, aiming to drive oil prices up even more. President Trump upping the pressure on U.S. allies to help secure and unblock that crucial oil route.
They should be not only thanking us, they should be helping us. What does surprise me is that they're not eager.
The European Union's foreign policy chief saying member nations don't have the appetite for a stepped-up military presence in the strait.
This is not Europe's war.
President Trump clearly frustrated with NATO allies.
40 years we're protecting you and you don't want to get involved.
While insisting some countries have agreed to help without naming them.
We have some that are really enthusiastic. They're coming already.
As gas prices soar here at home, up nearly 80 cents a gallon in a month, critics are slamming the president's strategy in the strait.
He's done a terrible job planning in advance for how to stop it from being used as a weapon.
And as they push for a way out, new details from 6 people with knowledge of the plans, telling NBC News President Trump is presented regularly with options to end the war, but hasn't taken any so far. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Now, 9:14 here on Live Impact News. We heard Majestic talk about yesterday's storms and some of the damage done. National Weather Service also confirming the EF0 tornado that hit a business in Noda. And our Rebecca Birdsall did talk to the owner as well as Weather Service yesterday. If you missed that interview or some of the damage done, we're going to play that for you now here on WCNC Plus.
All right, we're going to head over to Atondo Avenue where the National Weather Service is talking about the damage in that area. So let's take a listen in.
We had staffing available to come out this afternoon. We were able to get out here fairly quick. So a lot of that just depends on the timing. So if it would have happened like late in the afternoon or overnight, the timing would be a little bit different. But we do try and get out, fairly soon. People like, clean up fairly frequently after storms. They get out quickly to repair their damages. So we try and come out before everything gets cleaned up so we can tell what happened.
Have you been looking at any other places in town besides this northern extent?
Yeah, so far this is the most damage that we are aware of. There were some other areas of rotation that were under the tornado warning that we did have some very scattered reports of, but so far this is the only definitive tornado that we have found.
What does this reiterate about springtime storms? What do you want people at home to know?
So yeah, we just want everyone just be prepared. It is springtime. We're until we get further towards the summer, there will be potential for more severe weather as we go through the spring. So it's just a preparedness thing. We just want to make sure everyone has a severe weather safety plan. They have a severe weather safety kit. They know what to do in the event that a tornado warning is issued.
No injuries reported?
No injuries. Yes.
And do you know the path, how long it was, kind of where it started, ended?
Yeah, so it was 1.5 miles long was the total path, and it started just southwest of here and then ended just to the northeast. So this was the worst damage, was right in here. The additional damage was mainly limited to a few snapped tree limbs and some snapped trees as well.
And then from an emergency manager standpoint, what was your guys' morning like as these storms were coming on through?
That's a great question. So our morning this morning is really just ensuring that our partners are ready. And so working with police, fire, and medic to ensure that we have the staffing and the capacity available to respond to things like this. Like Thomas mentioned, there were no injuries associated with this event, which is a great day for us. Again, making sure that people realize the importance of staying prepared, staying on watch. This is a quick moving storm, so it came quick. It was in and out within about under 2 hours, which is a big deal, moving fast. And so again, saw pretty minimal damage and no injuries reported.
Do you think that the people of Charlotte took these warnings seriously this go around?
I hope they do. I know that we got some texts from friends saying that they were, sheltering in place at their workplaces or going into basements or things like that. And so I think it's a great reminder to ensure that, at work or at home or other places you go, that you know where to go during a storm, that find the safest place, the most interior room with no windows or lights or bathroom or windows or things like that. Again, just ensuring we all can.
All right, again, a confirmed EF0 tornado hitting a business in Noda yesterday on Atondo Avenue. We're going to take a quick break here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We'll be right back. At 9:20 here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, I'm Jane Monreal, where we cover your local, national, and international headlines and bring you live feeds as they come to WCNC Charlotte and all our satellite feeds. And we also have in-depth, long-form discussions and conversations. One of them today involving a conference that's happening right now in D.C., where more than 2,500 local leaders, including mayors, council members, other elected officials, gather in our nation's capital for an annual event, the Congressional City Conference, and this year's theme putting a spotlight on housing, transportation, and infrastructure. Joining us right now is Jeannie Milliken Bonds, actually a former mayor in North Carolina of Knightdale. Jeannie, thank you for joining us here this morning.
Good morning, Jane. Thanks for having me.
So you served on the local, state, and federal levels. What makes this gathering unique?
This gathering is critically important because it provides an opportunity for local government officials across the country to go up and speak to their senators and representatives about the needs they have in their local communities. Our local governments deliver for their citizens every single day, so this provides an opportunity for them to speak in depth about exactly what the needs are.
Yeah, so obviously it matters to everybody on their local level. This year's theme is "We, the Cities, Local Governments Deliver." And what does that message send to Congress right now?
Well, first and foremost, our issues at the local level are bipartisan. So we want to speak to senators and representatives about the fact that they need to work together to solve some of these complex challenges we face across the country. And the local governments are there as their partners to deliver on those services. So emphasizing that civility, that bipartisan dialogue, and then focusing on the needs that people have locally.
So what are you hearing from local leaders as this conference gets underway? Where are the biggest gaps?
The number one issue that we all hear across the country is housing, and it's housing production, because we have a mismatch in our housing market really in every region in the country. So it's providing those grants, those other community finance tools to help local governments work with developers and builders to increase the supply of housing. That's first and foremost. While there's been an emphasis on infrastructure for the past 5 years with a large investment bill that was passed in 2021, there are continuing infrastructure needs. When you put the infrastructure in place, you can do the housing. When you do housing, you need more infrastructure. That includes transportation so that people can get to and from jobs and other essential services.
Yeah, it obviously trickles all and ripples throughout so many industries. You obviously have deep roots in North Carolina. What are some of the specific concerns that leaders in our state are bringing to Capitol Hill?
Well, North Carolina, as you know, Jane, is a growing state. We've been increasing in population for the past 20 years. We have certain metro areas in North Carolina that continue to grow rapidly, the Raleigh-Durham area, the Charlotte metro region. So those needs are constantly increasing. Again, housing supply with the number of people moving into the area in Charlotte, it's about 157 people a day. That is a critical need. And then, of course, the transportation issues. You drive on the highways in Charlotte, so you know how congested they can become. So more and more funding to help build roads in the community, and then alternate forms of transportation for cycling to work, walking, the mobility, especially in the downtown regions.
Critics might say that Washington doesn't listen to local voices. What do you say to that skepticism?
Well, the theme in this country, for centuries has been that the federal, state, and local governments work together. And again, these services that people need every day to go about their quality of life, to work, to make the country function economically are not partisan issues. These are just basic services. So our local officials are really going to emphasize the fact that we all need to work together to move things forward.
What does a successful conference look like at the end of this event?
A successful conference for us is, first of all, we have a tremendous number of local officials here participating. We'll have more than 1,000 on Capitol Hill tomorrow. But also within this conference, we focus on in-depth policy issues, making endorsements for the services we need. We also focus on technical assistance, helping cities think through how to better provide certain strategies in their local communities. So for us, it's the attendance, it's the participation, and the many activities that we have here, and that really culminates tomorrow with us delivering those messages to Congress.
All right, and then for those here at home watching from the outside and seeing, what can we do at home in the Charlotte metro area, what can we do? What's that first step or second step to talk to our local leaders?
Well, obviously, community engagement's critical. The Charlotte delegation is here in Washington working hard. They actually also participated in a program I did on alternative funding for certain services and activities. So I would want people in Charlotte to know your council members, your mayor pro tem are here in Washington speaking on behalf of you. And when they come back home, they need to continue to hear from you and have that open dialogue.
All right, we definitely appreciate the dialogue this morning. Jeannie Milliken-Bonds from the National League of Cities Annual Congressional City Conference. Thanks for checking in.
Thanks, Jane.
And we'll be right back on Live Impact News on WCNC+. Coming up on 9:30 right now, I'm Jane Monreal. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC+. We do have some breaking news at this hour. We're learning at UNC Charlotte basketball coach is out. University, the head men's basketball coach Aaron Fern not returning, according to Director of Athletics Kevin White. Just made that announcement this morning. So national search for a new coach is underway. They have released a statement from the athletic director saying we have high expectations for all of our programs and at Charlotte, and while difficult, making a head coaching change is necessary to allow for greater success. A statement from the Chancellor, Sharon Gaber, also saying that Charlotte Athletics is a critical part of our campus community and the success of our sports teams helps elevate the entire institution. So those are just part of the statements coming from UNC Charlotte on the UNC head men's basketball program, who is now out, Coach Fern. We're going to get more information and go to our sports director, Nick Carboni, as well as Danielle Stein, see if we can get more information on that, bring you the latest here on WCNC Charlotte. Right now at 9:30 this morning, every breath we take is really something that we take for granted. We don't think twice about it. But for millions of Americans, they're living with lung disease, and breathing is a daily battle. So joining us here live in the Live Impact studios, John Lawrence, the event chair for an upcoming event. If you haven't heard of this, it's the Fight for Air Climb that takes place in Uptown at the View, tallest building in town. John, thanks for coming in this morning.
Thank you.
Also a local leadership board member for the American Lung Association in North Carolina. So John, let's talk about this event. For those who aren't familiar with it, tell us what it's about.
Absolutely. So every spring, the American Lung Association sponsors or supports about 37 Fight for Air climbs throughout the nation. And this year, I think this is our 8th year for the 2026 Fight for Air climb in Charlotte. It's going to be held on March 28th at the View in Uptown Charlotte. We will climb 51 stories of the View, the residential building there, 884 steps, and it is for the American Lung Association to increase awareness for lung disease. It also helps fund life-saving research that the American Lung Association sponsors right here in North Carolina. So we're very excited, and thank you for having us today.
Oh my gosh, it's such a great event. Our Chris Mulcahy hosting and emceeing the event too.
And climbing.
And climbing. Good
He
for him. He needs to keep those lungs, pumped up, because he has to bring it every morning here into the WCNC studio and get all pumped up. What got you involved with the American Lung Association?
Absolutely. So lung health is something that I've been passionate about in my career over the past 8 years. And the more and more I get involved, the more and more I see how impactful the American Lung Association is for not just North Carolina, but for the United States. In the United States, we have about 36 million Americans that suffer from lung disease, whether it's COPD, whether it's asthma, whether it's lung cancer. So if you think about it, that's 1 in 10 Americans that suffer from lung disease. And in North Carolina alone, there will be 1.5 million residents that suffer from lung disease. If you break that down even further, around 9,000 North Carolinians will be diagnosed with lung cancer in 2026, and about 5,000, unfortunately, will die from the disease this year. So it's very important for us to really tackle lung disease. At the American Lung Association, our motto is, if you can't breathe, nothing else matters. So it's our goal to bring awareness to this disease and really help fund some of this life-saving research that we have here in North Carolina.
Yeah, as the event chair, what goes into organizing an event like this?
Yeah, so it's not just me. I have a team with the American Lung Association board. We are, we obviously coordinate the event. We promote the event. We are looking for climbers, looking for teams to come help support us. It's a really fun event. We start with a party, kick it off. Chris is as high energy as they come. I don't know if he's going to be leading the stretching this year, but I think he was doing a little bit of stretching last year. It's always a good time.
Oh, yeah.
Then we race to the top. It is open to families. We have firefighters that come and join us as well. Great contingency there. But it's for all ages, all fitness levels. It's not just for elite athletes. It's really a fun way to come together and support the American Lung Association and their efforts in supporting the research here in North Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like It's going to be an energizer. But if you can't make, because you said 800, how many steps?
884 steps.
884
Absolutely.
steps. All right. I mean, so you've done it, right? Many times.
Yes, it is.
You survived.
And I can tell you that the way I can put it, it is strenuous, right? But
sure.
when you finish the climb, it really kind of puts things in perspective. It, you can really kind of empathize with those who suffer from lung disease. It is hard to breathe. You do have shortness of breath. So you can really kind of put yourself in their shoes of what it feels like on a daily basis for these people.
Yeah,
So
I mean, and yeah, exactly. A reality check.
It really is.
Yeah, you do get a sense of what it feels like. And then if you have extra weight, seeing the firefighters putting on their packs and their tanks. I'm married to a retired firefighter who, he would train going up and down the stairs.
It's very impressive,
sure.
Especially when they come with their full gear.
Right.
Their full kit is, I don't know how much it weighs, but
It's an extra 50, 60 pounds.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
And it's very impressive. And we cheer them on. And we do have cheerleaders along the way.
Okay.
My family's going to be out there helping and cheering them on. So we encourage everyone to come out on March 28th. It's really going to be a fun event. And we'll have a party again at the beginning, a party at the end. We'll have some awards, pizza, and absolutely. And maybe some adult beverages as well. So
Okay. Not before.
Not before. It's your reward for finishing. Absolutely.
All right. And so the call to action, what do people need to know again, John?
Yes, ma'am. So register at climbcharlotte.org. You can register as an individual climber. You can create corporate teams. We have many of the corporations here in Charlotte that have created teams. So please reach out to anybody, myself. There's contact information on the website, but really just climbcharlotte.org. That's the best way to get involved. We would love to have as many participants there as possible and really just celebrate what the American Lung Association does for the North Carolinians that suffer from lung disease.
Yeah, good job. That's a good turnout year after year.
Yes, ma'am.
Does it
We
keep on
increase our
growing?
numbers every year,
That's
so
awesome.
we're continuing on that trend and look to blow it out of the water this year. So
Okay, climbcharlotte.org.
yes,
Do
ma'am.
it. You do not need to be an athlete.
You do not.
You can just take your time, think pizza,
Pizza.
and
Thinking adult beverage.
Pizza
at
and
the
adult
end.
beverage.
That's
at the
right.
end.
That's right. We'll have some pastries up there as well. So, it's really fun. Well, it's a really fun event, and it's not a big time commitment. We'll start at 8:30 in the morning, and we're usually done by 11:30. So you still got
Okay.
the afternoon to enjoy your day.
All right, so not a race.
It's not. I mean, if you want it to be, yes,
Yeah.
we do have. Last year it was really amazing. We had one of our climbers who is a competitive climber actually
Oh,
came
boy.
to our event to train for events. Little did I know these events take place all over the world, and it's a competitive circuit. And so it's really impressive to see some of those elite athletes. But I am not an elite athlete, so but yes, we have all levels, all fitness levels that participate. And again, it's really just a community event to help support, all of our North Carolina residents who suffer from lung disease.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good awareness.
Yes, ma'am.
And to empathize with, we all probably know somebody. You lived enough life,
Yeah.
somebody
1
who
in 10
has-
Americans do suffer from lung disease. So
Yeah.
yes, it is. You probably do know someone suffering from that.
Yeah, unfortunately. All right, let's do what we can. ClimbCharlotte.org. John Lawrence for Fight for Air Climb, American Lung Association in North Carolina, doing great work here, representing. Thanks for coming in.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, appreciate
Thanks
you
for
coming
having
in.
me.
Absolutely, anytime. And Chris Mulcahy is going to partake and let you stretch and
That's right.
do all the things that he does so well. All right, we'll be right back on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. All right, time right now is 9:41 here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. It is a high energy day today because it is St. Patrick's Day. So if the luck of the Irish is with you, this is actually live right now in Dublin, Ireland, which, by the way, we are going to check in with a travel expert with checking with him live coming up in about an hour. He is also along the parade route there. Oh, wow. These are interesting floats. Let's go ahead and listen in here just a little bit on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. All right, you can tell that is a wild time happening in Dublin, Ireland right now, celebrating St. Patrick's Day. We're going to take a quick break here and check in with our own travel expert there live on the parade route on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. At 9:51 here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, celebrating St. Patrick's Day across the pond here as well in the States. Hopefully you are safe as you make your way out and about. And I know there will be troopers and patrol units, extra units out in the streets as there is a campaign for no boozing and cruising out there today. In the meantime, to our nation's capital, where Vice President J.D. Vance just wrapped up a breakfast, international breakfast, welcoming the Prime Minister of Ireland. Here is a little bit of that for you now on Live Impact News on WCNC.
Well, please, everybody have a seat. So first of all, welcome to our homes, and we're very grateful to have the Taoiseach of Ireland. Effectively, would you call yourself the Prime Minister as well, or is it just Taoiseach? That's a little controversial.
Not controversial, but others would like to call me Prime Minister.
Okay, all right. Okay, sounds good. So we'll call the Taoiseach. I don't want to cause any diplomatic incidents today. Taoiseach Martin, his lovely wife Mary, who were so kind to our 4-year-old Mirabelle, who's running around upstairs. We may hear her before she goes to school, but thrilled to have you here to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. So to all of Ireland, to all of our wonderful Irish Americans, and to everybody who just loves an Irish American, happy St. Patrick's Day. We're very thrilled to have this breakfast. This is one of my favorite traditions of being Vice President. You get to have this breakfast.
All right, since that went a little dark with the lighting there in D.C., we're going to put a pause on that for a second because, like I said, celebrating St. Patrick's Day right there in Dublin, Ireland. And while we are here in Charlotte, we have our own travel expert joining us this morning, Gabe Saglier, living his best life. He's live on the parade route there in Dublin, Ireland. Gabe, how you doing? Top of the morning to you. Set the scene for us.
I should say top of the afternoon, Jane, because it's nearing the 2 p.m. hour out here in beautiful Dublin City. This is my 15th time celebrating St. Patrick's Day out here in this beautiful city, and I'm surrounded by about 500,000 of my new best friends. The parade is well underway. A lot of pomp and circumstance, a lot of energy out there. We've got multiple cameras capturing some of this action out here. Near record-setting crowds, more than 500,000 people, lining the streets streets of historic Dublin City. A lot of locals, of course, but a lot of Americans as well, which makes sense, Jane, because 33 million Americans claim some degree of Irish heritage. Not bad for a little island of about 6.5 million residents. And I think this is a great excuse, as you can imagine, to come on out here, tap those Irish roots, but then party with an international contingency as we celebrate Ireland's patron saint himself.
Oh, that is fantastic. The theme, very meaningful this year, roots. What does that mean for this celebration?
So great point. You know, I mentioned 33 million Americans claiming some degree of Irish heritage. 70 million around the world do the same. And so this really becomes a global contingency of travelers who come out here on a day like this to celebrate that fact. But Roots certainly celebrates that heritage that is now spread across the world. There's also a new generation of Irish residents that this theme specifically taps as well. You know, there has been this interesting population growth in Ireland just in the last couple of years. About a quarter of them are Irish nationals who are coming back home. But there's a lot of folks from other parts of the world who've decided, hey, you know what, I'm going to go either retire in Ireland or I'm going to go try life in Ireland. I met a gentleman just a couple of days ago from Nashville, Tennessee. He's moving out here with his family. So there is this interesting phenomenon happening here where there is an international contingency, many out of the States, who are looking to come out here and establish roots now in Ireland. So that roots phenomenon celebrates that historic aspect, but sort of that new wave of enthusiasm around Irish culture and Irish tradition.
Interesting. And right now, some American bands are participating in this parade, too. Which states are they representing?
So great point. There are 8 different states represented with marching bands from different high schools and different colleges out here, Jane. Texas, Arizona, Illinois, Iowa, Wisconsin, and some of them actually participated. This is me in the city of Limerick just over this past weekend. They have an annual international marching band competition that's very highly regarded, and the Arizona high school out of Gilbert, Arizona won for best international marching band overall, and there was a Capel high school out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area that won for most entertaining marching band, and they were against a variety of different bands from all over the U.S., all over Europe as well. So highly competitive, but enthusiastic as well. And keep in mind, some of these marching bands, Jane, will spend 2, 3, 4 years fundraising to get themselves and all those instruments out here. Their families are out here in throngs to cheer them on. So that explains this very noticeable American contingency lining the streets of Dublin, Ireland at this very moment.
Yeah, it takes a lot of planning, energy, financial, background and energy as well. So for anyone who wants to go to next year's St. Patrick's Day Parade there in the mother country, what do they need to know?
Okay, first of all, keep in mind that out of Charlotte, you do have seasonal flights out of Dublin, including this time of year. Certainly as you head into spring and summer, that'll get you out here. That flight's about a 5.5, maybe 6-hour overnight flight. You're out here in the morning, and then all this, Jane, can be yours. Seasonality is a big deal, so I'd say if you can avoid those summer months that are very popular, very busy, your dollar stretches further, and it's just a little bit easier to connect with the locals. Ireland.com is information on those flights I mentioned and some great trip planning ideas, whether it's St. Patrick's Day. I'm going to be back here for Halloween because Halloween has its origins here as well. So you've got plenty of reasons across the year, Jane, to get yourself right here.
Love the fit for you, by the way. You're perfectly dressed.
You like
so
that?
Dapper.
I'm just trying to fit in here. Just trying to fit in. A little tweed this morning.
Oh, very nice. The weather looks great. And enjoy. Unbelievable. All that beautiful green out there. All right, well, start planning your trip. Ireland.com, right?
There you go. Thanks so much, Jane. Yeah.
Thank you. Cheers. All right. Slante is what they say, right? Slante.
Slancha, yes.
Slancha.
I need a pint now.
Slancha.
I need a pint.
You do.
Where's my pint?
Get the man some Guinness, why don't you? All right.
There you go.
Gabe, thank you. We'll be right back on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. 10 o'clock straight up here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We'll get you back out to the Irish breakfast with Vice President J.D. Vance. It looks like this lighting starts out kind of dark. That is the crew out there on scene at the White House, but it does get better. All right, so let's go ahead and get back to this on Live Impact News.
A lot of our Irish friends, and so I've really had a great time doing this last year, and it looks like we're going to have a good time doing this again this year. So there's so many common cultural sensibilities and common things we can talk about, so many common interests between the United States and Ireland, and that's one of the things that we celebrate here this morning. And I have this just long list of all the investments that Ireland is making in the United States of America, all the things that we're doing in the country of Ireland. Of course, about 375,000 American jobs depend on the country of Ireland in one form or another, so just an important trading and economic partner. But I actually think that understates the cultural friendship between the United States and Ireland. So many of the greatest Americans were people who came from Ireland or their families came from Ireland. In the Republican Party, of course, we revere Ronald Reagan, a great Irishman and a great president of the United States. My own friend, Colin Tiernan, my Marine Corps buddy, who I shouted out last year at this lunch, is another great Irish American, is always very proud of it, and is one of the people that I just constantly, I think all of us in America, most of us at least, have somebody who has this deep connection to that island on the other side of the Atlantic, and we love it, and we admired it, and we cherished the incredible friendships that we have and the great things that Ireland has done for the United States of America. So I'm going to give a few more shout outs here. We have our wonderful ambassador to Ireland, Ed Walsh, who the Taoiseach tells me is doing a great job. Ed, thank you so much for being here. Few of my friends from the Senate, but I think we were supposed to have Kevin Hearn here, but unfortunately his alarm clock didn't go off, so we don't have Kevin. We do have the great senator from Alaska, Dan Sullivan, who I'll call up here in a second. Dan, thank you for your friendship. We have Dave McCormick here from the great state of Pennsylvania. I think the first time you've done this breakfast, or were you here last year? First time. Okay, sounds good. We have Mark Wayne Mullen, who is in for a new job, potentially, depending on how his fellow senators feel about it. We have Patrick Collison, one of the great entrepreneurs in the United States today, a very great guy, and of course a proud Irish American. So glad to have you at this breakfast, Patrick, and give our best to your brother. And let me just say one other thing. We have a little gift bag for everybody who's at this breakfast. I think it'll have a pint glass. Of course, this is St. Patrick's Day, but it'll also have a pair of Donegal-style wool socks, and this is actually inspired by my friend Colin. I'm going to shout out here. So last year, when we did this breakfast, Colin said you have to wear socks that honor the Taoiseach, and so I wore some Shamrock socks. I have a different pair of Shamrock socks here today. Now I did that knowing that when we met the president later with the Taoiseach in the Oval Office, I'd be sitting down, he'd see my socks, and he would bust my chops about the fact that I was not wearing boring black socks, but I had these bright white Shamrock socks. So we have a slightly more muted Shamrock, but we're going to see if the president notices in the Oval Office when we go and visit him in a couple of hours. But let me just say we are thrilled to have you. Very, very grateful for your friendship and very, very grateful for everything that unites the people of Ireland with the United States of America. So God bless you. Taoiseach Martin.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President and Madam Second Lady and honoured guests. I want to thank you most sincerely for welcoming Mary and me into your home again this St. Patrick's Day. My guess is that the President will look and say, where are your socks? But I think last year we were deeply touched by the warmth of your welcome and generosity of your hospitality. And as I said, we adored your Shamrock socks. But that welcome was then, and is again today, a very special start to what for us is an unforgettable day. And as we gather to celebrate St. Patrick's Day 2026, we also look ahead to July the 4th, when this great nation will mark the 250th anniversary of your independence. Just 1 mile from where we sit this morning is Robert Emmet Memorial Park, named in honour of the Irish patriot who led a rebellion against the British in 1803. And in a famous speech from the dock before he was put to death, he declared, I wish to procure for my country the guarantee which Washington procured for America. The ideals of liberty, democracy and opportunity enshrined in your Declaration of Independence fired the imaginations of Ireland's determined patriots. And our Proclamation of Independence of 1916 references just one other country, yours, when it speaks of support to our cause from Ireland's exiled children in America. And those exiled children, time and time again, have proved both their loyalty to America and their enduring links to their ancestral homeland. Here in the Naval Observatory, it is fitting to recall the contribution of Commodore John Barry. An Irishman from County Wexford, Commodore Barry became the first captain commissioned by Congress. From capturing the first British warship to leading the final naval battle of the Revolution, he earned the title Father of the US Navy. His life embodies that dual loyalty that has defined Irish-American history. Devotion to the ideals of America, while continuing to carry Ireland in their hearts. He is far from alone. It was an Irishman, as I was saying earlier, General Stephen Moylan from my home county of Cork, who first penned the term United States of America. It was John Donla from County Tyrone who printed the first copies of the Declaration of Independence, the founding document that bore the signature of 3 patriots born on our island. And it was Charles Thompson from Derry who created the seal of the United States, forever immortalizing the great symbols of American strength, peace, faith, and unity. And throughout the 250 years since America proudly raised the flag for freedom, Ireland's sons and daughters sought to repay the gift of opportunity through service to their new homeland. Irish workers helped craft the skylines of America's great cities and fortify the fabric of communities across the land. Immigrants from my home county of Cork moved to Ohio, where they built the roads, canals and railways, which literally laid the foundations of American greatness. The Scots-Irish, who mostly came to Pennsylvania and the Appalachians, an area very close to your heart, brought not only their strong work ethic, but also fiddle tunes, which melded with the African-American banjo to gift the world bluegrass. As firefighters, police officers, nurses, farmers, and presidents, 23 of whom have had Irish heritage, our exiled children from all the rich and diverse traditions across our island have made their mark on this proud land. Today we continue to contribute to American prosperity as a significant economic partner, and Ireland is now the 5th largest foreign investor in the USA, and every morning hundreds of thousands of Americans go to work in almost 800 plus Irish-owned firms. The US-Ireland economic relationship powers the technologies that will define the 21st century and underpin growth in our economies. And Irish companies are pivotal partners in your drive to lead the global AI revolution. In neighbouring Virginia, Irish companies such as Cell Critical Power are providing solutions and support for unprecedented energy demand. And across the US, the technology of another Irish company, Stripe, is enabling the growth of everything from startups to major multinationals. Stripe's success is a wonderful example of an Irish enterprise whose journey is built on investment in America. And I can remember meeting young Patrick as a young scientist at our Young Scientist exhibition when I was Minister of Education, and he didn't even hang around. He went straight to America to create this great company. So a brilliant young man with his book.
We can both claim it.
So just as Ireland has been at the centre of the American story, so the United States helped forge the country I call home. The story of peace on the island of Ireland is one we crafted together. America's unwavering support over decades and from both sides of the aisle made this possible. At the darkest and bleakest of times, you, all of you in this room, kept the faith. And today, that work continues. Parties from across the political spectrum in Northern Ireland, along with the Irish and British governments, continue to work hard to harness the full potential of the Good Friday Agreement. It enables us to deal comprehensively with the legacy of the past and to engage all the communities and traditions on our island around the shared present and future. As I close, Mr. Vice President, allow me to thank you and the Second Lady once again for opening your home to us. Vice President, they say a week is a long time in politics, but one of the greatest Irish writers, James Joyce, laid bare so much about the human soul in just one day. And above all, his book Ulysses is, of course, a journey through Dublin, a journey into the meaning that can be found in the everyday, and at some level, a journey home. As we continue our own journeys, I'm pleased to present you with a special edition of this masterpiece. And it is our hope that this literary token of Dublin recalls happy memories of your and Usha's road trip around Ireland and encourages you and your growing family to make a return journey in the not too distant future. Let me offer our heartfelt congratulations to you both on the news that you're expecting your fourth child. Thank you. So before I finish, it is clear that the threads across the Atlantic that are woven through the rich tapestry of the United States remain strong. Those threads connect Wexford to Washington, my hometown of Cork to yours in Ohio, and they connect generations past with those to come. Wishing you all, and all of you present, a very happy St. Patrick's Day. Lá Éile Pádraig, Sonadív. Thank you. Gorb míle míle maithagah go léir.
So, let me just offer a few more notes of thanks before we kick out the media, and I want to turn it over to Dan Sullivan for a blessing. So, we also have two very special guests. We have Sean Pinder and Marianne Lubinsky, who are the president of the Ancient Order of Hibernians and the Ladies' Ancient Order of the Hibernians. Where do we have them? Thank you guys so much for being here. And I also wanted to, do we have Lynn here? Ed, where's Lynn? Okay, Lynn, thank you so much for being here. This is our, this is the better half of our ambassador. You've been having a good time the past year, but we're grateful to have you. Okay, that's good. The cameras are on, so we have to. So let me just say one final thing. We have a great and proud Irish American, Dan Sullivan, from the great state of Alaska, and unfortunately we had to cancel our trip to Alaska a couple of weeks ago. Usha and I were looking very much forward to it, but we figured we'd put you to work. That's your consolation prize. So please come say a blessing before we can start this amazing breakfast. Dan Sullivan.
Well, I'm very honored, Mr. Vice President, to be here. Madam Second Lady, thank you for opening your beautiful home. As an Irish American, I'm very honored to be able to say a blessing and a prayer on St. Patrick's Day. So let me begin with the blessing and a prayer. Lord, thank you for the Taoiseach and Vice President and their families. Give them the strength and wisdom to undertake their important jobs. Lord, thank you also for the men and women of our military who are undertaking dangerous duty on behalf of the nation they love. Give them the courage to do their duty and keep them safe. Finally, Lord, thank you for the gift of this food. May we use it to our nourishment and good works. And as part of St. Patrick's Day and many Irish blessings, I thought of one that I was going to use this morning that I've liked a lot. It's an Irish blessing that's very simple. May your home be too small to hold all your friends. Then I thought about that Irish blessing in this residence and thought, maybe that's not appropriate. So here's another one that we all know, and I'll wrap with that. The traditional Irish blessing. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face and the rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Now that is a blessing that we've all heard. I thought of another blessing this morning. May the coffee be strong, the remarks be brief, and remember, you can always tell an Irishman, but you can't tell him much. I suspect there may be more than a few folks other than myself in this room to whom that description occasionally applies. So let's all remember that on this day we have the luck and wit of the Irish with us today, but let's have that all days. Thank you again, Mr. Vice
Amen.
President.
Thank you.
Amen.
All right, we are going to take a quick break here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. At 10:17 here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, yesterday's severe storm and a confirmed EF0 tornado in NODA still has some folks this morning without power. And our morning crew on the Plus, Ben Thompson and Lisa Washington, did talk to Duke Energy this morning. If you missed it, here it is again on WCNC Plus.
Zach Vavrico with Duke Energy joins us live right now on WCNC Plus. Zach, good to see you as always. Give us a rundown. We, for one, are always so grateful for the work of the linemen and linewomen out there because they're out doing the work when none of us else want to be out there. What's the process been like for your crews over the last 24 hours?
Yeah, hey Ben, good to see you. You know, the storm rolled through yesterday. We had some heavy rain and high winds, and we did see some power outages pretty soon afterwards. It is a process. We go out there where we have some damage. We assess that damage. We decide if it's safe enough to get up and restore the power. And I actually was at in Belmont at some damage yesterday. And you know, when they're able to get up there, they get in the bucket trucks and they get it fixed. So we always keep safety in mind. That's the number one priority. We're always thinking about our customers. We don't want anybody to lose power. But when they do, we get out there and get it restored as fast as possible. We did have at the peak about 141,000 outages. We have a lot of those restored this morning. Like you just said on the outage map, about less than 1,000 in Charlotte. But you will see folks from Duke Energy out there today working to restore any lasting outages.
And so, Zach, you were saying, which many people, they hear you, but they're like, it's a process. It takes some time. As soon as your power goes out, it doesn't mean it's going to be immediately restored, because we mentioned the high winds that we had for a good part of the day yesterday. So you have to have certain conditions when the linemen are able to go up to even work on these power lines and poles.
Yeah, wind is a big factor. We can't get those bucket trucks up in the air when wind is at about 30 miles an hour and above. That's for the safety of our crews and the folks in the nearby areas. So yeah, it is a process. We encourage our customers, if their power is out, there's a variety of ways that you can report it. You can text the word out to 57801. You can also report an outage on the Duke Energy mobile app and on our website as well. That gives us that real-time data so our crews can know where the problem spots are. But yeah, I think it's a hard thing to tell folks to be patient because they want their power back on. We all do. We don't want anybody to lose power, but we got to keep the safety of our crews in mind. Those line workers are the real heroes. They're the ones that are out there in the elements and working in conditions that can be challenging to get the power back on.
And speaking of trouble spots, as of this morning at 8:46, are there any big clusters around Charlotte that you guys are still working to try to get resolved right now, or are they just random spots all over the place?
Yeah, Ben, it's pretty scattered right now. That's pretty typical with this type of severe weather. The wind will bring. We live in a beautiful city with a beautiful canopy, but it does create power outages because we have a lot of trees and limbs falling on our equipment. So yeah, it's right now it is pretty scattered across the Charlotte area and across your DMA. So that's just think of it, we're going to have to be going out to a lot of different areas, so crews will have to be kind of scattered throughout the day. But yeah, no major, it looks like kind of in the eastern part of Charlotte, there's a cluster with about 523 and near the Matthews area. I would say that's the biggest one in Charlotte right now. But again, our crews are going to be across the Charlotte area today. One thing I want to remind folks that if you're driving, to and from work today, or you're picking your kids up from daycare, or you're going to a workout class and you see our crews repairing infrastructure, power lines on the side of the road, make sure that you're thinking of workplace safety. Make sure to...
And that was just sort of a debrief this morning with Duke Energy. Want to take you back out to Washington right now. House GOP leadership just starting a live press conference. Let's listen in on Live Impact News on WCNC+.
Single Democrat watching today. Enough is enough. Put the political games aside and fund our homeland security. Last week, just outside my district, an anti-Semitic driver with an explosive-filled vehicle plowed into Temple Israel Synagogue. The building was set ablaze while dozens of children were inside. Hours earlier, ISIS supporter opened fire at Old Dominion University, and days before that, a man wearing a sweatshirt saying, property of Allah, killed 2 people and wounded 14. This is not a game. End the shutdown now. Fund our homeland security. Protect Americans. Now, despite this urgency, however, almost every single Democrat in this town has voted to defund our homeland security. And why? Because they'd rather protect violent, illegal criminals than protect law-abiding American citizens. Let that sink in for a minute. Frankly, I'm sick and tired of it. And guess what? The innocent American citizens are tired of it too. In addition to fighting for an end to the shutdown, House Republicans will take up legislation this week to make sure that foreign nationals who commit fraud can be deported and permanently barred from exploiting more American citizens. I just show you this. And if you think that's unnecessary, let me introduce you to a few people who the Democrats love to support. This man is here illegally from Cuba, who was arrested in Big Rapids, Michigan for credit card fraud. Okay? All right. This man arrested in Carson City, Michigan for fraud and homicide, murder. I think we can all agree he shouldn't be allowed to remain in the country. Another individual in Port Huron arrested for fraud. A woman in Sandusky, Michigan, also arrested for fraud, right? And that's just in my home state of Michigan. I could keep going without, keep going and going. I mean, this is happening in just my state. I can't even imagine. I mean, we'd be here all day if we had to talk about what's happening in Whip Emer State, right? Minnesota. We wouldn't have enough time. But despite what the liberal media wants you to believe, these are people that law enforcement are targeting, and law enforcement is actually holding these people accountable who have committed crimes against law-abiding Americans. Those are the people that the Democrats want to protect. This is exactly the people Republicans are making sure will never, ever be welcome back here again. Listen, the United States is the most generous nation in the world, but our generosity should never be mistaken for weakness. When people exploit our system, when they steal from our programs meant to help the most vulnerable Americans, when they commit fraud against our families, they undermine the trust that holds these programs and institutions together. And they take resources from Americans. So let me put it really simply. The Biden administration let a lot of these bad people in, like 20 million of them. Terrorists, fraudsters, violent criminals. And now Democrats are playing political games to protect the bad guys and let the American citizens fall to the wayside? Tell me how that makes sense. That needs to end, and that needs to end now. Fund our homeland security. Deport violent criminals. Keep foreign fraudsters out of our country. These are common sense principles nearly every single law-abiding American citizen agrees with. It's time Democrats in Washington started supporting Americans too. And with that, I'll hand it over to Congresswoman from New York, Claudia Tenney.
Good morning. Thank you to my colleagues and to everyone here. This is an important piece of legislation. I want to thank everyone here who's supporting it and highlighting it. The Deporting Fraudsters Act addresses a serious problem. Individuals who come to our country and steal from American taxpayers and should not be allowed to remain in our country. This legislation ensures that illegal aliens who defraud the United States government or unlawfully receive taxpayer-funded benefits are inadmissible and deportable under federal law. Current immigration law leaves gaps that allow bad actors to exploit public programs without facing appropriate consequences. This bill closes those gaps and ensures individuals who steal benefits intended for needy American citizens face removal. We have already seen why action is needed. Independent journalist Nick Shirley helped expose a massive fraud scheme showing how organized and widespread these scams can become even when oversight fails. Fraud targeting programs like Social Security, SNAP, and Medicare does not affect just a government budget. It harms seniors who spend their lives paying into these programs, working families trying to get ahead, and vulnerable Americans who rely on these resources. This is not an isolated problem. Last fall, I blew the whistle on Centers for Medicare and Medicaid, exposing how one physician in his 80s billed Medicare over $600 million over the course of the Biden administration, basically from 21 through 2024, with 95% of billings concentrated in the Los Angeles County area. That level of abuse is unacceptable and underscores how vulnerable these programs are without strong accountability. Entering this country illegally is already a crime. Turning programs meant to help our truly needy citizens into vehicles for large-scale fraud is even worse. Those who steal from hardworking Americans must be held accountable and should not be allowed to remain in the United States. The Deporting Fraudsters Act restores fairness, protects taxpayer dollars, and reinforces the rule of law. I'm here today to support this legislation and look forward to working with my colleagues to make sure we get it across the finish line. And I yield to Mr. Emmer.
Thanks, Claudia. Last week, 2 separate terrorists targeted Americans at a synagogue in Michigan and in a classroom in Virginia. Our prayers are with the family of Lieutenant Colonel Brandon Shaw, who was tragically killed by the monster who opened fire at Old Dominion University. The profile of the ODU terrorist is troubling. A naturalized citizen from Sierra Leone, convicted of attempting to support ISIS in 2016, released from prison early by the Biden administration in 2024, only to carry out a terrorist attack in 2026. The writing was on the wall. Yet the Biden administration's soft on terrorism policies and our nation's current immigration laws let this ISIS-affiliated individual stay in America and walk free. An American life was lost as a direct result. It's common sense that any naturalized citizen who joins or supports a designated terrorist organization should be denaturalized and deported. But under current law, it's virtually impossible to do so. That's why Senator Eric Schmitt and I introduced the SCAM Act earlier this year. This legislation will make it easier to strip terrorists of their citizenship and ship them back to where they came from. It's simple. Terrorists do not belong on U.S. soil, naturalized or not. As our nation faces varying threats, I will remind you that the Democrats have now shut down the Department of Homeland Security for over a month. Airports across the country are feeling the impact. On Friday, TSA workers received $0 paycheck because Democrats continue to block DHS funding. More than 300 TSA officers have quit since the start of this shutdown, the second Democrat shutdown in just 6 months. And can you blame them? Because of the Democrats' reckless political games, the men and women of TSA have been forced to work without pay for 43% of this fiscal year. 43%.
We're going to break away from that live press conference for just a moment. House GOP talking about the partial shutdown and speaking and on why it should end. We'll get back to that here shortly. Wanted to bring you some breaking news right now. This is a crash that we are following. Our crew on scene of this wreck, where you can see a school bus is involved as well as that red vehicle. We are learning that 2 people from the red car were transported to the hospital. As there were kids on board, no injuries reported from the bus. The location here is Tryon and Yorkmont. So we'll continue to follow that here on Live Impact News. We'll be right back on WCNC Plus. At 10:35 on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, I'm Jane Monreal. We take you back out to Washington with the House GOP holding their leadership press conference live, speaking on the partial government shutdown now as we continue to listen in on Live Impact News.
And this week you're going to hear him talking about a discharge petition. Let me tell you what that is. It's yet another attempt by Democrats to defund the police. It's a defund the police discharge. That's what it is. Why? Because go back to the Summer of Love. You know, when people were burning down cities, Democrats' crazy idea was to defund the police. They tried it. The American people recognized it for what it is, one of the dumbest political ideas maybe in the history of American politics. But the Democrats aren't done with it. Now that you're in another moment of Democrat-created chaos, what is their answer? To defund law enforcement again. That's what their petition does. The American people aren't going to be fooled by it. We don't fund agencies piecemeal. You fund the things you support and you don't fund the things you don't like. We have a Department of Homeland Security. It was created in the wake of 9/11. Democrats are operating like it's September 10th, before 9/11 happened. They want to repeat those mistakes by shutting that critical department down at a heightened level of security. We've seen the terrorist attacks here on our homeland. We know what's going on, and yet Democrats have voted to shut that department down because they don't care about American people. They don't care about families. People are missing flights. People are going without pay while working. Hundreds of them have quit. TSA workers that just said, I can't do this anymore. I've got a family to feed. I've got to go get a stable job. And working for the federal government under Democrats' crazy radical chaos is just not a place where they can be. They're real victims in the Democrats' dangerous game. And now this defund the police discharge is one more example that they're not serious people. But we've got real work to do. And American people are counting on us to get the job done. And the man leading that fight to get the job done is our Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
Thank you, Leader Scalise. I would say good morning and happy St. Patrick's Day, but it's not a happy day for so many millions of Americans. It's really a difficult one. We're on day 31 since the Democrats decided to shut the government down, the partial shutdown, this time of Homeland Security. This is now the third longest shutdown in American history. They like making history on the other side, the wrong kind. They had the longest shutdown in history last fall, as we all know, and now they've got the third. Today is a direct result of Democrats taking the Department of Homeland Security hostage in order to protect criminal illegal aliens. That's exactly what it is. Here's some of the stats. Roughly 120,000 DHS employees, including 50,000 TSA agents, are going without pay for yet another week. FEMA's ability to respond to natural disasters is increasingly imperiled. We had some big weather events, as you might have noticed, in the last 24 hours. Our agency of government that is responsible for assisting with that is being hampered. American airports obviously are reaching a breaking point, so severe that airlines are pleading with Democrats to please fund the Department of Homeland Security. It's fallen on deaf ears. 4 separate times, Republicans have voted to fully fund DHS since this chaos ensued, 4 times. And on each of those times, Democrats voted almost unanimously to block the funding. Now, instead of doing what's right and putting an end to this charade, Democrats insist on tearing the bill apart piece by piece. Their latest proposal would only partially fund DHS while stripping funding for ICE and Customs and Border Patrol. As Leader Scalise just reminded you, the discharge petition is really a petition to defund the police. Think of it. The law enforcement agencies that are the part of the Department of Homeland Security are what they are targeting. Democrats refuse to reopen TSA and FEMA and the Coast Guard and these other critical functions of government unless they can reopen our borders to illegal aliens, because that's exactly what their gambit would accomplish. This is not a serious position. It is not one that the American people agree with. As one of the primary agencies responsible for protecting the homeland, the Customs and Border Patrol plays an irreplaceable role in our national security framework. This is not a game. Our CBP agents stand on the front lines. They protect our nation against transnational crime and drugs and child trafficking, terrorist threats, before they reach our communities. It is our largest federal law enforcement agency. CBP is the largest federal law enforcement agency, and any bill that strips its funding weakens our defenses against terrorist plots. It undermines the integrity of our borders, and it disrupts lawful travel through U.S. ports of entry, including the millions of American and international travelers who are processed at our airports every single day. Now, it bears repeating, in just the last 2 weeks, we have had 4 jihadist attacks on American soil, all of which originated from perpetrators who are already inside the country. Every one of those attacks falls squarely under the purview of the Department of Homeland Security, and the Democrats don't want to fund it. And now they're demanding we strip funding from the very agency responsible for stopping all of that. It's another dangerous game, a political game by Democrats that's as foolish as it is perilous. I'll make one additional point. Democrats opened our borders wide to tens of millions of illegal aliens for 4 years under Joe Biden, including untold numbers of violent, hardened, and repeat criminals. That is an objective fact, and no one can refute it. They could have closed the border any time. As you all know, I pleaded with President Biden, after I became Speaker, to do it. And he pretended as though he did not have the authority to close the border. They chose that. They chose to keep the border wide open. And they looked away. And that happened until President Trump was returned to office. And obviously, we secured the border in a very short number of days because the law was always there. He always had the authority. And thankfully, we got a commander-in-chief who understands national security and safety. And now when our borders are finally secure and when criminal illegal aliens are finally being held to account for breaking our laws, now the Democrats want to reverse course. They want to go back to open borders. They want to defund the agencies that are responsible for keeping law and order. And now Leader Jeffries has claimed the latest proposal to defund CBP will just allow talks to continue. But you all know, because you're tracking it every day, that's nonsense. Bipartisan talks were already underway before funding lapsed. It was Democrats who walked away from the table. They did it precisely so that they could take the Department of Homeland Security as their next political hostage. They've made a political calculation. Their polling says they're not fighting Trump enough, and so they determined that Homeland Security was the place to throw down the gauntlet. It's so crazy, it really is. And since they shut down DHS now over a month ago, we've heard nothing but political posturing from Democrat leaders. They're not serious about this. The answer is simple. They don't want to fund Homeland Security. They don't want to do it. They're perfectly content jeopardizing the security of our homeland and hurting the American people if it means protecting criminal illegal aliens. And there is no other way to explain this. Democrats have made that conscious decision repeatedly. You know them by their actions. They're doing it again. In the fall, they shut down the government to try to give taxpayer-funded benefits to illegal aliens. And now they've shut down the government once again to reopen our borders and shield criminal aliens from our own laws. The American people are not on board with this. They're not going to have broken policies. They're not going to have us return to that. The broken policies of the Biden administration, they rejected that in the election soundly. The chaos that Democrats unleashed on the country, that was a big issue. In fact, it was the #1 issue in the election of 2024. We're not going back to that. The American people are not going to go back. The Republican conference is going to work every day to ensure that we don't. I'll leave you with this thought. We'll take a couple questions. Listen, CNN had a story this week. They were talking about the Quinnipiac's latest polling, which is consistent with other polls around the country, the favorability of Democrats in Congress. They are at their lowest number in history. In fact, they're far below the lowest polling numbers in history. And the story led with the lead. Democrats' favorability is lower than the Dead Sea. Okay, they're at negative 55 percentage points of favorability. Negative net 55% in the open polling. And among independents, Democrats in Congress are at negative 60%. They should just retire. They should just throw in the white towel and give us the Congress so we can fix this mess and stop the charade. This midterm election that we're coming up on is a contrast election. This is not I was talking with Newt Gingrich the other night, and you know he brought the contract with America. This is a contrast for America. That's what we have. This is common sense, the Republican Party and our policies, versus crazy. This is crazy. It's crazy. And I'll take a few questions. Yeah, from her. Well, that's not a green tie. Never mind. Over here. Go over here. Come on, all right, go ahead.
Okay, so the president has said that the Save America Act is his #1 priority.
Yeah.
When making the argument to Democrats to vote yes for this, because it will require Democrat votes to pass, can you give for me one example of fraud conducted in a previous election that the Save America Act would prevent?
Look, we're not going to litigate all that. I can tell you what I'll tell Democrats. You should listen to the American people. Ostensibly, we're supposed to come here and represent the interests of the American people. This is a 90-10 issue in public opinion polling, and Democrats agree that you should be a citizen and have a photo ID to vote at a tune of about 70%. So there's no argument that you shouldn't do this. If they want free and fair elections, if they don't think fraud should be a problem, then they should vote to enforce federal law. It's already the law, as you know. It's already the law that you have to be a citizen to vote in American elections. And we should enforce that. And having a photo ID, you have to have a photo ID to do everything in American society. Why not to vote? It's ridiculous for them to oppose it. We are cheering along the Senate Republicans in trying to force this through. Hopefully, we can get this to the president's desk for signature. It's a top priority, not just for Republicans in Congress. Again, common sense versus crazy. It's crazy to say that you should not be a citizen or not have ID to vote. And it is common sense, and it comports the American people. Go ahead, all the way down. Yeah. Thank you.
This morning, former Congressman Joe Kent, who you campaigned for when he ran for Congress, resigned as the director of the Counterterrorism Center. He wrote that he cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. He writes, Iran posed no imminent threat to our nature. It's clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. How do you respond to that and to those other Republicans who say that this war is actually putting foreign interests above domestic interests?
Well, that proposition at the end is clearly wrong. I'm on the Gang of Eight. I got all the briefings. We all understood there was clearly an imminent threat, that Iran was very close to the enrichment of nuclear capability, and they were building missiles at a pace that no one in the region could keep up with. They were far outpacing our allies and friends and us in our defense capability, because we had personnel, installations, members of the armed services and civilians in the region. Iran was building up ballistic missiles at such a rapid pace, and we knew that their plan was to fire them upon Americans. The commander-in-chief and his administration had a very difficult decision to make. I don't know where Joe Kent is getting his information, but he wasn't in those briefings, clearly, because the Secretary of State, the Secretary of War, and everyone, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Kane, they had exquisite intelligence, and we understood that this was a serious moment for us. Had the president waited, I am personally convinced that we would have mass casualties of Americans, service members and others, and our installations would have been dramatically damaged. And so the president felt that he had to strike first to prevent those mass casualties. That's a summary. I can't tell you the classified part, but that's the summary that's made public, and it's accurate. Yeah, Manu.
It's been more than 2 weeks since this war was launched by the United States against Iran, yet the House has not had a single public hearing with a cabinet official about the cost to American taxpayers and to American service members. Why has the House not heard testimony from a cabinet official about this war?
I don't know if you've noticed, but they've given us multiple briefings. Well, it's still, we're in the midst of a couple of weeks long operation that's very sensitive in its mission and scope, and you cannot go outside of the classified briefing to give to the public the information, because it would adversely affect our mission. They have well explained this to members of Congress in multiple briefings, both before, during, and after the operation commenced. We had the auditorium full of House members just last. The American public is getting. I've just relayed to you the summary of the non-classified information. All members are out talking about it around the clock. You're following them around with microphones, getting their clips and insights and their opinions. This is being watched very carefully, but we're in the midst of an operation that is winding down. According to the president himself, we are very close to having the mission completed. The Strait of Hormuz is an ongoing issue, and he has, I think, rightfully called upon allies and friends and other nations who depend much more than we do on the Strait of Hormuz being open for their oil supply to step up and assist and put the terrorists and tyrants at bay, because that's good for stability and calm around the world, and America stands for that, okay? We are standing for freedom. We have taken out an enemy that was seeking to do us harm and wipe Israel off the map, and that's a good thing, and it will be a great thing for the stability of prices going forward and the calm around the world. So we ask our allies to step up and acknowledge that reality and help us out. I think that's a very reasonable proposal. Jake.
Sir, on the safe app, sir.
On FISA,
Yeah.
are you going to move a clean extension? Is that your plan?
The plan is to move a clean extension of FISA. As you know, FISA in Section 702 is responsible for the large measure of intelligence that we use to protect and keep Americans safe. It expires in April, and we're working, looking at that deadline, and hoping that we can get a clean authorization done for at least 18 months. Now, why would we go that route? Because you remember last time it was up for reauthorization, we instituted 56 substantive reforms to FISA. By every measure and review, those are working just as we planned. We've not had the abuses that were happening before those reforms, and everybody in Congress understands the necessity of ensuring that we keep the homeland safe, except for the Democrats, who, as you know, are choosing not to fund the Department of Homeland Security. One more.
Thanks, Mr. Speaker. President Trump recently has said that the war in Iran will be over when he, quote, feel it in my bones. What does he mean by that?
Well, I think his bones are informed by the intelligence, okay? So, look, it's the commander-in-chief, whomever is the president, whomever is the commander-in-chief, under our constitutional system, is given a broad amount of latitude and authority. Their decisions are informed by all the intelligence and the experts, a large panel of them from the Joint Chiefs of Staff on down, who come in and advise the president. Every president makes a gut decision, and hopefully they make a prayerful decision. I think this president will as well. He's getting great advice from great people, and I'm very encouraged about where we are. I think this will wind down quickly, and it's going to be in the best interest of America going forward and of the whole world. Thank you.
You've been watching a live press conference out of D.C. House Speaker Johnson and the other GOP leadership speaking on mostly the partial government shutdown. We'll be right back on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. At 10:54 here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, the Charlotte Hornets happy to get Hornets forward Moussa Diabate, and sports director Nick Carboni had a one-on-one with him. If you missed it, here it is on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
The way you have played, the way this team has played since January, what is the statement the Hornets are making to the rest of the NBA right now?
Man, just, that we here. I think at that point it's no more of a if or oh yeah, they're just having a hot streak. I think that like teams and people in general having an understanding that the Hornets are for real. I think they definitely see us as a threat, and no more of that oh yeah, like they're being lucky or anything like that. Obviously we have a great coach, and that's a foundation that we've been building since last year really. Obviously injuries is always not helping, but now that everything is coming together, you can definitely see the result.
Health has helped, defense has helped, and you were the center literally of that defense. What is the mentality this team has now about defense and how it can propel you guys to win?
Right. Really just we've been working on it all summer, really just understanding like what our strengths are. Obviously, me being a little smaller center in that sense, being more versatile, being more active. I think I have a better reaction on timings and stuff like that. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just under this understanding of the team and the identity we want to have, right? We want to play with pace, we want to be physical. All those things just coming in together, just an effort. I mean, I think at the end of the day, just give the result that we have defensively.
All right, this is the hottest item at the fan shop right now. What do you think of the moose antlers? I won't ask you to put it on unless you want to. You don't have to mess up the hair.
Right.
What do you think of these?
I mean, it's great. Obviously, it's simple, very affordable. Everybody can get it. And I mean, I think it's those little fun things that as kids, you always gonna remember oh yeah, I used to wear those antlers and stuff. So I feel like it's gonna hit home at some point.
Do you remember the first time you heard the crowd go moose, and what did you think?
I mean, I don't remember exactly the first day that happened, but yeah, I mean, it just happened, and I mean, it was funny.
If you want to catch the rest of Nick Carboni's one-on-one interview with Charlotte Hornets player Moussa Diabate, go to our website, WCNC.com, or just stick on this app, and you can find it within the app under Sports. Charlotte Today is up next here at 11 o'clock. Have a great morning.